grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I can see. Hello and welcome back to Reset Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, and I had to test out that little song. I think that was on my heart today. I am charging, so give me 1 second. Let me go and unplug myself so I can come back and have a conversation with you guys. It's going to be quick, it's going to be short, and hopefully it be encouraging for you guys, because like I mentioned, whatever I'm going through, I'm going to share it. Okay, we ain't keeping nothing to ourselves over here. We going to share it. Okay, you know why? Because it's my reality, and that's how it works. Hopefully you share your reality, but I share mine with you guys. And the topic for today is but God moments. Okay, and what are your thoughts? And if you're just coming in here, go ahead and hit that like button. I'll be right back. Alrighty, so as I was mentioning to you guys, I want to talk about but God moments, and today was one but God moment that I came up with across with siblings, and I wanted to share it with you because sometimes we have those but God moments, and there are moments in life where everything feels so delayed. Have you ever feel like something is just delayed and you're like, why is it not happening to me? Like your doors are closed, your prayers are not being answered, or they're unanswered, and then you start questioning the timing. You question that timing, like, okay, Lord, I know I've been praying for this for 10, 20 years, 40 years, 5 days. Some of y'all get your answers quicker than others, but God, not early. He don't come late. He comes right on time. So one thing I had to learn is that God don't move based upon our clock, that he's going to move with purpose, and it's going to be on his timing, not your timing. He moves with purpose. While we are like worrying and working, he's working. When we worry, God working. While we are waiting, he's aligning us. And things that we can't even see, he can see it ahead of time. So sometimes we are delayed, but we are not denied. And you have to understand that there's power in the waiting. There's power in the waiting room. It's just that we lack the patience to wait most of the time. That delay sometimes isn't denial, like I was mentioning to you. That silence isn't absence. It was him making sure that he is preparing us for that moment. Because when God shows up, he doesn't just fix the moment, he shifts the whole entire direction. And I want to share a story with you guys, because I think the ones that know, you guys know the story with my sibling, my brother, the one that's after me. But before I get there, I want to let you all know that, so if your season is where nothing makes sense to you, I just want you to know to hold on, because your but God moment is coming. And when it does, you'll understand why it had to happen that way, why you felt like you were being denied, why you felt like you were just all alone and things wasn't going the way that you wanted to be. But that but God moments is going to show up in your life sooner or later. You just have to wait and don't get weary in well doing. So if your season is at the point where there's nothing is making sense, I just want you to hold on. If your but God moment ain't coming yet, just know that it's going to come. It's coming right around the corner, because he knows just what we need. And that's what I had to come up with. There's moments in your life like where everything is feeling delayed, doors closing, and you're questioning God's timing. If that's you today, I just want you to know that you're not alone. I want to share the story with my brother. A few years ago, my brother is going to be 40 years old. When my brother was born, he was always, we call him the trouble kid. He always just was different. And that's the thing. Sometimes we want them to be so much how we want people to be. And in reality, we just got to accept them as being different. And it's okay. We all individuals and we are uniquely made. Okay. And sometimes we impose our feelings, our behavior on other people instead of accepting them just how they are and understanding why God wired them that way. So my brother was always different. We knew that he was different. We knew that he was special, meaning, he was really good at art. He could draw. He was great at very smart kid and everything. So we knew at a young age that he was special. We had a neighbor that told my mom, she said, he told him to take care of him because he is very special and unique. But at that moment in time, we were like, oh, he's going to be, some celebrity one day because he had so much art. He could change his voice and like he will act out different movie, be in different voices. He was very talented. He still is, but he was just different. So we weren't that talented. So we all would look at him funny and be like, you need to adjust this because, you're too much out there, or you would need to do this. And everybody in the family, is 6 of us, everybody had something to say because he's number 5. However, number 5 had his own plan. God already had wired him one way. Well, anyway, everybody is going the straight line. Number 5 is off to the left, always off to the left, meaning he was not the kid that will follow rules. He always broke rules, Y'all have one of those in your family. Sometimes we don't talk about them in the family because some of us is embarrassed, or some of us feel like, that siblings, we're not going to talk about them. And then that way they'll probably change. But we need to start talking about those siblings and those family members so that way you can identify with somebody out there. I know somebody's going through something that's similarity. So my brother was always different. As we got older, he was after me, so I was more closer to him. So whenever he will go into his episode, or he had depression, and but at that time we didn't know. So whenever he will go into his depression moments or his anxieties, we would always be like, oh my gosh, he's acting crazy. Or I'm from an island, so listen, we didn't put no special names on it. We would just call it as it is. Okay, we'd be like, oh, he's acting crazy, and in reality, he was just having a moment that we couldn't understand him. And I was the only one that could connect to him. So whenever he would go through his episodes or his moments, I was the one to talk him back to his reality. And I will not judge him as I'm listening because he wanted to just express himself. Sometimes we got to listen more than what we try. If the individual is trying to tell you how they're feeling and you're telling them they shouldn't feel that way, we fail as human beings doing that. Because all my brother wanted to share is, this is how I feel and this how I'm going to do it. I'm going to get to the same point of view that you are on, but I'm going to go a different route because I don't see that long route. I see a shorter cut. And sometimes shortcuts are good and sometimes they're not. So long story short, I was always his calm in his chaos. So even when I moved to the United States, me and my brother stayed connected. When he moved up here to the United States, we got separated because, I'm married now. So he was in a different state than I was in. He was with my other sister. And it just happened that we grew apart, So when he would get into his moments, they couldn't understand his moments. Mind you, all his life, I was his calm and I got separated. My brother actually was his calm, the one that, was going to take me out because he had me doing all his little guinea pig work for him. That brother, by the way, if you're just coming in, just go ahead and hit that like button. I'll appreciate it. And he left and then I left. So he just felt alone. Okay. So when he will go through his moments, he will have to figure out how to get out of his moments by himself because all his calm within his storm was not there near him. So I would have to call on the phone. I will have to make sure that for hours, just calming him down, letting him know that we're here for him. Nobody is judging him. And he couldn't understand because he was not diagnosed with the scenario that what he was going through either. So he didn't know how to maneuver against it. So I came in then and I was that he will find safe. I was the safety net. Well, long story short, a few years ago, and I mentioned this to you guys, some know all the stories, some of you guys just got bits and pieces, but I had to block him, okay? Because he came up here, he got into the American, I call it like Americanized, not that back home he wasn't being himself, it's just that it got a little bit more wilder than the average, and because of our separation, my brother then ended up being, his spasms will, when he go off, it would just be a little bit much, and I could not handle, all of the extra. So I end up blocking him, not from my life, just from my phone, but he could communicate with me through all the other siblings. He just knew he was not going to be disrespecting my space, and my peace is my priority, and he knew that. He was aware of that. However, though, for a period of time, I had to just block it away from me in order for me to figure out how I'm going to deal with him at this point in time, because now he's grown. He's not my little brother anymore. He is just a grown man that still can have moments that nobody understands but me, and I'm the person that they always say the one that love you the most, or the one that put more time into you, that's the one that you push away the hardest and the farthest from you. It's just, I don't know why, it's just human nature, but that's what happens, right? So he came along, and I had to just reserve my peace, and he will communicate with all the other family members, and it was always, I was the priority. Tell Paulette I'm going through this, she knows what to do. Tell Paulette. And that, after a period of time, becomes a little bit overwhelmed, and I just felt like, Lord, I've been praying from he was born, like, for protection, for guidance for him, and trying to figure out how can I be that sibling, or what do I need to do in order to help him help himself? Well, long story short, on my father's birthday, when he turned 79 years old, my younger brother decided, you know what, we're going to just do a conference call with all 6 siblings together. I had already unblocked him. I blocked him for probably like 2 weeks, but I didn't communicate with him for like probably a year or ish, like where we communicate with each other, but he was unblocked, but he didn't know, because he knew what he did to cause the block. And when my younger brother connect all of us back together, he was like, oh, you unblocked me. I didn't know you unblocked me. I said you were unblocked a long time ago. I just wanted to see how long you were going to realize that you were unblocked. Well, anyway, whatever situation that he was in some situations, okay? I'm just going to let you all know, my brother put himself in a position where no family member couldn't help him. Everybody that came into him, everybody that basically tried to help him, we couldn't help him. He had to pick himself up from his boots, all right? When you hanging around the wrong people, and you already have situations that go on that not even you understand mentally where you're at, and you have the wrong toxicity around you, it can cause you to go a little bit more extra downhill, okay? So he was surrounded by the wrong situations that put him in the wrong situations, and caused him to be in a position that he had to end up in a position that he didn't want to be in, but God had to step in and clear the air. When you're in a position where you no longer can help somebody, they got to help themselves. When that Red Sea is split and divide, and you know that it's out of your hands, and they have to activate because you've been trying to spin their wheels and it can't happen. So long story short, it was always siblings and family helping True with this, helping with the other thing. He was always that needy child, and we know that what he can do. So actually, when he came to America, he got lazy. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, he got lazy. His work ethic disappeared, and everybody else, it was somebody else's fault for his situation. So today, he changed. Whatever happened last year to him, guys, which a whole lot happened. This year, there's been some changes. He untangled himself from the toxicity that he was in. He learned that it's nobody's fault. It's you that need to pull your own bootstraps up and take care of your own self. He started to take responsibility for all of his actions. Now, once he's separated from the toxic, guess what? He can think straight. So now when his response is changing on how he responds responding to things, how he is acting, how he is taking more responsibility for his place. So today we were having a conversation, and me as the helicopter sister, I'm like, did you do this? Did you do that? And I just started to cry because everything I asked him for nearly 40 years, he always lacked. And he never, like, you guys, I don't know if you understand when you have that one sibling or that family member that is helpless, and not because it's because they don't know how, and you're always the protector. And then when you pull yourself away and have to see them fail, the pain that you go through by watching them do what they have to do, because like I mentioned always, you're built for this. We're built for this life. We're built for to last. And when God is working in us through all the prayers, sometimes we have to sit back and just cry, but we gotta let them go. It's like when you're teaching your kids to crawl, and it got to that point, where they have to stand up on their own. So the pain of watching my brother go through what he'd been through, and nobody could help him but himself. And today he could tell me, I can pay for my own apartment. I'm paying for my transportation. I got the money saved for this. Everything we prayed for nearly 40 years ago for him to activate. Today, because we had to pull back and allow him to fail and get up on himself instead of disabling him, he've changed. Sometimes you'll go through life in painful situation because you just don't want them to get hurt. But that's the best thing for them to do, to go through the fire without your help. And I love them to develop. I love them to become what God created them to be. So today, guys, these are joyful tears. They're not sad tears. They're joyful tears, because nearly 40 years ago, my little baby has finally became a man. And that is such a joy that came into my life, Today, you guys may or may not understand the position to see somebody go downhill so low and have to leave them there because it's out of your control. And then one day to the next, the topic that I'm talking about is but God, is because you could not move the individual. God had to step in and activate the action that you prayed for nearly 40 years ago. So that's why I came on and I said I'm going to share that, because there's somebody out there that's struggling with a family member, struggling with themselves, struggling in life, and you just feel like, I don't understand why God is not answering these prayers. But God is not answering. I came to find out it's because I was in the way. We get in the way of individuals and we don't allow them to grow. When they fall and they get skin, we want to put band-aids. Allow them to grow. Allow them to feel the pain. It's painful and it's tough love, guys. But it's such a beauty when you allow God to activate, because God is never going to leave you and forsake you. And each one of us, He's right there with us. So when we fall and we're going through all the impossible things that life throw at us, we have to stop handicapping our loved ones. Allow them to grow with God's help. We're not God. You would never be able to do. We, in nearly 40 years, could have not done what God took in one day just to switch and change. And in nearly 40 years, my brother's going to be. Today was the first time I said, you got this. I know yesterday I talked about encouraging. He has been encouraged. He is loved. and he know he's loved. But I think that you can hinder an individual by not allowing them to go. So I feel like as family, we loved him so much because we saw that he was special and we didn't know how to help. So we disabled. When you're trying to do everything for them and you don't allow them to take the scars, guess what? You're disabling them. They'll be useless to themselves and their family. He has his kids now. He's taking care of his kids. He's taking care of his family. He got his own place. And then guess what? He didn't have to ask nobody for help. He did it himself. Oh, God is amazing. But God came in right on time. So let me tell you, when there's a moment in your life where everything feels delayed and doors are closing and prayers are feeling that they're unanswered, and then you start to question the timing, and then God steps in, not early, not late. He steps in right on time. And today was that but God moment for my family and my brother. And he did not, and guess what? On the other note, no, he's not part of the truth. However, though, my brother start to tell me, he said the universe, he don't say God, but I'll take the universe because God created the whole entire universe and he's getting there. But he say the universe has aligned with me. He can acknowledge that. He can see that God is bigger than anything that he is around. Because and the other thing you got to understand too, that God doesn't move based on our clock. In nearly 40 years, you'll be like, Lord, 40 years, I prayed the same prayer and you just go answer me today? His birthday is September. You mean to say you couldn't answer me earlier? But what God wanted us to do is remove ourselves from his season. You can hinder individuals by trying to be a part of their season. That's their season of learning. And we as family, we as siblings, we wanted to make sure we're protecting in our minds. We're protecting. If you fall, oh, let me pick you up. Let me dust you up. No. Allow them to get up on their own. Allow them to see that the fall was just temporary, because eventually they'll get back up again. But if you run to them all the time, they will never get up. Every time they fall, they'll be like, why you didn't pick me up? It's your fault that I'm down here in the first place. And they start blaming because you're thinking you're helping, but you're hindering, and they don't appreciate as much. So that was my story that I wanted to share with you guys. Because, sometimes God aligns things that we can't even see. So when you get into the point when, you're worrying when God is working, where you're waiting and God is aligning and you can't see it because only he can see why he's doing what he's doing, is that he's shifting your entire direction, because that's God. And when he shows up, he doesn't fix it for the moment. It's for a lifetime. You just got to get out of the way. He shift your entire direction in a moment of an eye like this. It took one day what we were praying for consistently. My grandmother died and gone. And guess what? We still continue to pray for my brother. And not until today, he came through with what we've been praying for him for the longest, So if your season if you're in that season where nothing is making sense, just hold on. Just hold on. Keep praying. Minister Miles said, keep praying. Keep changing your mindset. Keep changing your life. Keep making sure that you're cleaning out that feces within yourself, instead of trying to jump in somebody else's season and hinder them or disable that individual, because prayer works. That's why he said keep praying. When people are not doing what you think they should do and how you think they should do it, guess what? Pray for them. Pray for them. Prayer works. 40 years in human life, nearly 40 years in human life, that took God one day to switch. When he tell me he's moving into his own place on the first, and normally me and my brother talk about everything, right? So he normally at the beginning, the system was he would call and he would say, I want to move in to this place, but I don't have no money. And everybody will be trying to help him because we want him to win, right? So everybody is helping, when in reality we were disabling. So you know what? He stopped communicating that with us. He's telling us what he's going to do. That's what we wanted him to do in the first place. Don't tell me you want to do something and you don't have the first dollar towards it. No, you come at me and tell me you're going to do something. You get more help from people when you're when you're in action mode. People will activate for you. But if you're just sitting there and feel entitled, guess what? You're going to stay there for a long, long time. Okay? So your but God moment is coming. Don't get weary in well doing. And when it does, you'll understand why it had to happen that way and why you are not getting your prayers answered right away is because God wanted you to get out of the way. Get out of the way, let go so he can activate and he could fix whatever needs to be fixed in that scenario. So that is my but God moment I wanted to share with you guys. I know many of you guys up in here have your own but God moments, and just know that when it's not functioning is because you're either in your own way or you are in your individual that you're praying for way, or it's not time yet because it's not aligned, and it's not going to align on your time, and it's going to align on God's timing, and only God can fix it. Okay, you can't do it. All you can do is pray about it. Okay, so learn from me. Nearly 40 years of prayer. Not only me were praying, the whole family was praying for my little discombobulated brother. But you know what? Today, the words that came out of his mouth was what we wanted to come out of his mouth a long time ago. Okay? Long time ago. But today, we saw growth. We saw maturity. And the way that he's executing his life now is just how God aligned it to be, without the family help. So get out of your family way. If you feel that they're not moving fast enough, then move. You move so that they can grow and they can align themselves with God, not you. Okay? Because you ain't God. Okay? So that's my little word for today. I just wanted everybody to know that, you know, life be lifing with everybody. Life be lifing with everybody. And prayer is key in every situation. Prayer is key in every situation. It comes right on time. That power of but God is going to show up. Okay? So when you're about to give up, just remember God steps in, and you could call him faster with those prayers. So get on your knees. You put your hands together. You do it however you do it. Some people raise their hands. Some people put their hands down. Some people lower their heads. Some people look up in the sky. I don't know how you pray. Get on your knees, though. Get on your knees. Lay across the bed. Sometimes we got to throw ourselves all across the bed, on the floor. I don't know how you do it, but you get on your knees. You get to your prayer. God timing hits different when that but God moment steps in. So that's all I have for you guys today. Hope all is well. And I just pray that you guys just stay strong and don't get weary in well doing. It took us nearly 40 years to hear one little sentence of, I can do it myself. I don't need your help. Okay? It took 40 years for that. It took 40 years for him to get to the point where he's moving in his own place and he's paying it himself, and he got his own vehicle and he got his own everything on his own. But prayer was the key that we use. And your but God moments may be something different. But my but God moment today was my brother just taking a turn for the better. And he has been through brimstone and ashes, okay? He has been through a lot. And I just want you all to keep him in prayer so that he can stay in his alignment, so that God can keep continuously helping him to see what he needs to adjust and what he needs to fix to make him a better him. And I love the family to allow him to grow without continuously disabling him. I pray for you. You pray for me. Let's get in these chats here. Hello, Sister Dawn. How are you today? Pray all is well with you, Sister. Sister Shelly, thank you guys for coming over. Sister Tanya, thank you so much. Sister Tanya, say amen, sister. Let's see in here. Sister Shelly say, I was crying cheerful tears today also. Amen, Sister Shelly. Well, share your tears, okay? Because I want to know, because went and there was a whole lot of dust up in this room. Okay, there was a lot of dust up in this room, and I was filled with joy. So my tears today, for those that's going back and re-listening, I just want you guys to know that it's joyful tears and it's not sad tears. You know, you can cry joyfully. You know, I just felt overfilled today because something that we prayed for 40 years, nearly 40 years, finally had made head. And that was my God moment when it came to my brother. He's doing much better when it comes to, you know, he's having less of those moments where, you know, he has to pull back from. So keep him in prayers. As you know, he's also battling and struggling with emotions and stuff like that too, as we all do. But you know what? We need to start talking about those things a little bit more, because you'll be surprised that it's plenty going through that portion where 1 minute they're up, 1 minute they're down, and everybody looking around. And you know what? That's just life. And we got to learn how to deal with those. Okay? We got to learn how to deal with them. Don't be like us back in the day on the island. We were like, oh my God, he crazy. No, he was not. He was just different. You're just different. Okay? Because the moment you figure out what's the scenario and you're working on it, guess what? You're normal, back to normal again. Okay? So, you know, just moments there like that. Hello, Sister EFP. How are you? Hope all is well. Thanks for coming in here. Sister Shelly, I know that your surgery is coming up in a little bit, so let's keep Sister Shelly in prayer over there. Sister Shelly say, yes, tough love. My mother used to say, yes, we have to give those tough love. And, you know, tough love moments. It's definitely needed. Sometimes we can love a little bit too much. We think we're loving you when we're actually hindering you. Okay, so that's the difference between love and disabling. We don't want to disable one another. We want to allow people to grow at their pace, at their timing. And I think that's very important in any relationship. Also, don't try to just, you know, hit them side the head sometimes, even though sometimes we want to do that. Just allow them to grow freely, and in due time, remember, they're God's child. So guess what? He wants them to do better without your help, because you ain't God. So move out of the way. Okay, let them breathe and let them grow. And when they're on that pace of growth, you make sure you're continuously praying for them and encouraging them. Okay, when they fall down, you encourage them back up. You don't stand up on them or throw rocks on them and say, no. You help pick them up. You inspire them, and you let them start to see what they can't see yet. But you know what? You speak word of life into individuals that have certain scenarios that they have to deal with, and you'll be surprised. And you know, today, just before I went on my live, my brother, you know, he called me because we back to when we were like in teen days, you know. And he said, he told me, he said, I love you so much, more than you will ever know. Okay, says bye. And we talk like 4 or 5 times a day. 4 or 5 times a day. Whenever he's feeling that depression or anxiety is coming on. And guess what? This old crybaby sister is right there telling him, you're the best thing next to sliced bread. You got this. You this. And I'm just gassing him up with encouragement, gassing him up with inspiration, gassing him up, empowering words to make sure that he know who he is. He's a child of God, and he don't let no feelings and no emotion take him over. He got this. And you know what? Every time he get in to go to work, I say my little prayer, my little silent prayer for him as I'm on my work right now. I'm going to turn on, because we already at 30 something minutes now. And I just want you to know, he just want to hear that he can do it. You can do it. I'm proud of you. That's all. And he gone until when he get out of work at midnight. He's going to call his sister and he's going to say, I'm heading home. And then if he had a good day, you know what? Sometimes the call is like, you know what? I'm a little tired tonight. I'll talk to you in the morning. First thing in the morning, guess what? Sis, I'm up. I'm getting ready for this. And what do you think about this? And what do you think about the next thing? Our relationship did not miss a beat. But the process to get to that point, I had to shut down. I had to block. I had to remove myself, and I had to set boundaries. And that's why when he comes back, we're back to square one. Didn't miss a beat. Love him to death. He loves me to death. But in that moment in time, mentally where he was at, I could not allow him to come and disturb my peace. Okay, because I was working and struggling on my own. I had my own things I was working on, and he just wanted to just come in there and know. And the Lord did this. And guess what? We like this back again and thicker than thieves. We like white on rice. Okay, we don't miss me. He knows just what I'm gonna say before I say it. I know just what he gonna say before he say it. I know how he move. He know how I move. And guess what? That's all. That's all that's needed. Sometimes separation is good. So when you come back, he's stronger than ever. You see this? Together we stand. Okay, and that's how it is when it comes to siblings. Sister Tanya say yes, we have to keep Sister Shelly in prayers. Yes, keep Sister Shelly in prayers. Okay. Well, anyway, guys, if you guys are just coming in or you have been in here for a minute, you saw me laugh, you saw me get a little serious. You saw me shed a whole lot of tears, Sister Tanya, because there was dust up in this car. So because of all of that, guys, I just want you all to know is to continuously stay praying up, and we're not going to get it right all the time. And right now, it was moments where I needed to repent today. You got to ask for forgiveness today. You got to start all over again today. But I'm not going back to last year or last week. I can pick up where I left off. If I failed just now, that's when I'm going to pick myself up and I'm going to keep moving forward. No sense of going back. Nobody go back. Have you ever seen anybody walking backwards? Nobody walk backwards. We walk forward. Where you're standing, you start making the first step, the second step when you know you're moving forward. Nobody walk backwards. So in life, stop trying to go back to the past, unless you have to really go and touch up a thing. No, wherever you start off, that moment, keep moving forward. Adjust. If something happened in the past, adjust it in the current and make sure that it starts to grow better and above and beyond for the future. Nobody go back to the past. Okay, you didn't go back to no nobody. We ain't walking backward. We ain't moonwalking in the back. Okay, we are moving forward. We are doing the cha-cha forward. We ain't doing no moonwalking like Michael Jackson in the back. But anyway, guys, that's all I have for you guys today. You may have your but God moments. I would love to hear your but God moments. You may not had prayed for nearly 40 years for your but God moment, but there are certain things that you've been praying for. Today is Reset Tuesday. Reset your mind, your thought process, and consistently prayer is something that you reset on a daily basis. So as you can see what I share with you guys, I've been listening to Minister Miles when it comes to the reset, right? The therapy. So Reset Tuesday is all about trying and working and praying for that thing that you want God to move, and only Him can move and only Him can adjust out of your life. So don't forget that resets are good. You can do them daily, you can do them weekly. I only talk about it weekly because I don't want to bore you with too much stuff, but resets can be done daily, can be done every 2 to 3 hours. You may need to reset something, especially on your diet. You may say, oh, I'm going on a diet today, and 2 hours later you're eating some ice cream. You know what I'm talking about. Or you're doing something that's taking you off, and you'd be like, oh my God, my next meal I'm going to try to do a little bit better than I did with breakfast because I had too much pancakes today. Or you may say, I'm going to have a salad instead. You start to change. You're not going to continuously go downhill, even though some of us do when it comes to our diet. We just continue to be like, you know what, I ate bad in the breakfast, I'm gonna eat bad for lunch, and you know what, no sense of fixing anything. I'll just start off tomorrow. I'm gonna eat bad for dinner too, and that's just life. You have no control over that. That's just straight life, and that's what happens. However, though, resetting yourself consistently, you start to see more improvement, and that's where you grow. Okay, that's where we grow. But anyway, that's all I have. Reset Tuesday. Go reset yourself, your dreams, your goals that you're trying to achieve. That dust up that diet, dust up that textbook that you've been wanting to read for the longest. Probably pull out your Bibles and start reading a little bit more than you should, instead of just going on there and letting somebody else tell you what chapter and reading it for you. You go ahead and you dust up a few chapters and do something, figure out something that you need to do, that you need to do, but you haven't done in a long time. Go reset it and go do it. Okay, get it off the checklist, get it off the list. Alrighty. Well, anyway, Share your but God moments with me. And I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for coming in to Life with Paulette on Reset Tuesdays. You all have an amazing day. Love you. Cheetos are Cheetos. Yes, Sister Tanya, put those Cheeto bags down now. You put those Cheeto bags. Oh my gosh, I like Cheetos too, you know. I really enjoy Cheetos. But anyway, guys, you know, keep shining, keep moving forward. Don't go back. Nobody in doing moonwalk. Okay, we are doing the cha-cha. Okay, see you all in the next one. Deuces, bye-bye. And put those Cheeto bags down, Sister Tanya. We ain't doing that in 2026. We got to grab salad.